And meanwhile, we are going to hear reactions, as I said, from two of the contributing authors of the paper. And the first reactor is going to be someone who, who is Bicolano, human rights lawyer. He is a peace advocate. He is a legal scholar. An AB History from cum laude from UP, a Bachelor's of Law, a Master's of Law in Melbourne. More important, he is the author of The Moro Islamic Challenge, Constitutional Rethinking for the Mindanao Peace Process, the author of Peace Advocate, the author of Dynamics and Directions of the GRP-MILF Peace Negotiations, the author of Peace Zones in the Philippines, and the co-author of the Philippine Human Development Report. So we have somebody who is reacting, who has practically immersed himself in all aspects of this conflict. I am talking about Attorney Soliman Santos. Attorney Sol?
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. President Estrada, all the rest are future presidents. Greetings from the Bicolano juridical entity. I prepared a short two-page reaction, but I will cut significant portions of this myself, since some of the points have been already made. I am usually an optimist, one has to be, when it comes to the peace process, but it's not hard these days to be pessimistic about the future, even before the current bad news of a global financial crisis. To be candid about it, when I first heard the news of the Supreme Court TRO against the signing of the MOA, the first thought that came to mind was, wow, this is going to radicalize the MILF. As the days went by, event after supervening event, it became evident that there has been a definite setback in the GRP-MILF peace process, and for that matter, the whole comprehensive peace process. From what I thought was about to be peace in our time, it began to sink in on me that this looks like it will take another generation. Is there an end in sight? There has to be, but it's hard to see it from a time distance to a more distant future. It is, of course, easier to see the immediate past, the present, and maybe the immediate future. Let's start with this in an assessment of the MOA fallout through the prism of the Philippine Human Development Report 2005 recommendations, and in process, assess the relevance of these recommendations themselves. One of those recommendations, and mentioned already, was that on the Moro front, with its three tracks represented by the MNLF, MILF, and ASG in historical order, the highest priority should be given to the GRP-MILF peace negotiations as the linchpin of the Mindanao peace process, mainly because it would, could, or should finally complete the solution to the Bangsamoro problem. The idea was to fill in whatever gaps in aspirations that were not addressed or were inadequately addressed in the 1996 GRP-MNLF final peace agreement and its implementation, and at the same time, learn from and build on this. This unification or harmonization of the two peace tracks with the MILF and MNLF would then themselves together better address the third track of the legitimate fight against terrorism represented by the ASG. But with the setback in the GRP-MILF peace negotiations, there is a strong tendency in the Philippine establishment to take the path of least resistance by settling back on the MNLF track of low-intensity autonomy as the policy arrangement for Bangsamoro self-determination. After all, the ARMM is well under the framework of the Constitution. But if there is one thing that the MOA teaches us, it is that doing justice to Bangsamoro self-determination requires thinking out of the box of the Constitution. For me, this vindicates the recommendation in PHDR 2005 to dovetail possible charter change with the peace process. And this is best done when the change is the product of the process, whether that product is finally called Bangsamoro juridical entity or something else. It should be noted that the setback in the GRP-MILF peace negotiations also reinforces the continuing 4-year suspension since August 2004 in the other major peace negotiations, that with the NDF, where there is no ceasefire, unlike with the MILF. The PHDR 2005 recommendation to resume negotiations has not been heeded at all by both sides. So now it is the NDF telling its tactical ally, the MILF, I told you so. In trying to entice it, including through tactical offensives to draw military pressure away from the MILF, to drop its peace strategy in favor of a war strategy like the NDF. Boy, this financial crisis makes it really bad timing to have a war on 2 major fronts. Perhaps the 2 biggest lessons from the MOA fallout reflect 3 unheeded recommendations of PHDR 2005. The first 2 can be taken together. 1, ensure policy consistency, and 2, legislate national peace policy. The 6th recommendation was to build a national constituency for peace. This last one is obvious from the national controversy about the MOA. So I will not say much more here now about this peace constituency problem, which others have touched. But this is what makes me now think in terms of instead placing hope and information education efforts with the next generation, starting with young Filipinos and Moros, including students of today. Finally, most frustrating, because there is supposed to be more degree of control with this than with general public opinion, is the lack of policy consistency even within one administration and even with an executive order supposedly defining policy for a comprehensive peace process, which has long historical roots and a solid basis in the 1993 NUC consultations. How can this be so easily set aside suddenly without any thorough policy discussion and debate by those who know and feel deeply about peace processes? Baligtad na ang mundo. The ascendant hawks say the paradigm of root causes is used as an excuse to bear arms against the government. It is clear that national, and for that matter, Muslim Mindanao peace policy should no longer be set at the executive level. It should graduate to legislation and even constitutional entrenchment. Let's hope and work for better prospects for this in the next administration. Maybe there's a little optimism there. Thank you.
Thank you.